77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place.
You know, it's unbelievably weak, I would say. I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Diagnostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living.
Yow. Sounds like there's going to be more wah-wah. That was President Trump earlier today from the White House. Welcome, my friends. Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. We have a lot to do today. And I do, of course, want to get started with it all. Glad you're here. One thing that we are definitely going to talk about is the Democrat desperation after their fiasco in Virginia. And, of course, we are being pummeled with stories of race-related and politics from the left. Everything is racist that they don't like. The Supreme Court is corrupt because they don't like it. The rulings that are coming out of the Supreme Court. These people. There is also, if we have time today, and if we don't have time today, we're going to make time this week. There's an amazing article at Fox Digital today, 6 different ways that prove the wealthy pay a lot more than their fair share. And this ought to be in every newspaper across America. It ought to be taught in every school. Hopefully we can get to that. Since we started with the president, I want to give you a brief programming note for those of you in the New York area and beyond. If you don't live in the New York area, you can go to the WABC.com website, and I'm not trying to thank you for our affiliates for being indulgent for just a moment. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, Sid Rosenberg, one of the greatest broadcasters in this industry, is having President Donald Trump on his show again. He has had the president as his guest before, and I'm telling you, it is always news making, news breaking, and just a delight to listen to. Sid Rosenberg at 8:30 Eastern Time in the morning will have President Donald Trump as his guest. So, please do a Google if you don't remember Sid Rosenberg. 77 WABC Radio is the New York flagship station of the Red Apple Audio Networks, and it is, of course, just the premier talk radio station in the New York vicinity. 50,000 clear channel blowtorch. One heck of a radio station. And Sid Rosenberg, tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., you can Google, find out where to get the app to listen online. Sid Rosenberg with President Donald Trump tomorrow morning at 8:30. So many things going on. We have so much to do, as I said, so let's get started. The Supreme Court is, in Virginia, has followed the Constitution. You wouldn't know it listening to the commentary of liberals, and we have a lot of that, brief segments of that commentary here. There was a story in the New York Times over the weekend about the desperation that Democrats have. There's a story in the Daily BS today about it as well. Virginia Democrats so enraged that this effort that they had to blatantly ignore the Constitution of Virginia, that members of their own party warned against. Their own consultants, in some cases, said, don't do this. The way that you're doing it, you are inviting it to be thrown out. That notwithstanding, Democrats are so galled, they had a weekend call over and here's the New York Times version of it. A private call reveals Democrats' desperation over tossing map during a private discussion on Saturday that included Democratic House members from Virginia and Representative Hakeem Jeffries from New York, the minority leader. The lawmakers vented their anger at their defeat at the Virginia Supreme Court. They spoke about a collective determination to flip 2 or 3 Republican seats under the existing map and discussed a bank shot proposal to redraw the congressional lines anyway. In other words, tell the Supreme Court, tell the law to just pee off. You know, it's off. Or some would use another letter, F off, or whatever. And just go ahead and do it anyway, because that's who Democrats are. They did not land on a specific course of action, reports the New York Times. However, one of the most desperate gambit that they have is a discussion where they talked about getting rid of the Supreme Court altogether. The Supreme Court ruled against them on the basis of the Constitution. The Democrat Party reaction is, okay, let's get rid of the damn Supreme Court. Let's just get rid of it. This is insanity. But their plan is to do this. There's an age limit that they want to impose, and what they want to do is adjust the age limit that members on the Supreme Court can serve. They want to make it invalidate all of the Supreme Court justices by saying pretty much, you're too old to serve, get rid of them, and then appoint, since they run things now in the legislature, they want to appoint new Supreme Court justices who will go along with their plans to obliviate the Constitution in Virginia. These people are sick. And this is actively under discussion. It is unbelievable. They would invoke a January ruling by a circuit court in Tazewell County, Virginia, that says the 2026 constitutional amendment to redraw the maps is invalid, and try to just go again. These people are desperate. They're angry. They're desperate. So, let's just get rid of the Supreme Court. And believe me, if they could do that to the United States Supreme Court, they would. As I said, the reactions, ladies and gentlemen, are, let's just listen to a few, shall we? Let's start off, Carlos, with Jen Kiggins, just explaining pretty much what I just explained. Cut 2. And here is this.
Hey, it's Jen Kiggins. Last week's gerrymandering decision from the Virginia Supreme Court was certainly a victory for the rule of law. It was a victory for fairness, and it was a victory for fair representation in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But you need to know what the Democrats are now bringing to the table. If you read the New York Times yesterday, there was a conversation with Hakeem Jeffries, who wants more than anything to be the next Speaker of the House, and the Democratic congressional delegation. They want to fire the Virginia Supreme Court. They want to lower the mandatory retirement age so that it's younger than the youngest judge, so that they fire all the members and reappoint new members. That's the most un-American slap in the face to the Constitution thing I've ever heard. You guys need to pay attention to what the Democrats in Virginia are bringing to the table. They can't beat us at the ballot box, so they're resorting to a lot of shady tactics. Pay attention and stay tuned.
Exactly right. She, by the way, is a representative there. Now, where else would you go for the last place I'd go for informed decisions would be ABC TV, The View. However, they do have occasionally good clips that I can use for their sheer entertainment value, and they do not fail today. Let us go to 3 members of The View. Alyssa Farah Griffin, their pretend conservative. Whoopi Goldberg, who seems to be in charge of the program, as it were, and Sunny Hostin, who, believe it or not, I think is a lawyer, even though it's hard to tell. Let us go in order. Cut 3, followed by 4, and then 5. Let it rip, Carlos.
And then this happened. There was another seismic shift in voting rights last Friday after the Virginia Supreme Court struck down a redistricting map that had been approved by Virginia voters. Okay, they said, this is what we want. They came in and said, no, that's not what you want. We're changing it. So the ruling now gives Republicans a big boost as we approach the midterms. And Democrats are a little pissed. It's kind of crazy.
It's not at all what, just roll it. It's not at all what happened. Cut 3.
Party says, we care about voters' rights and,
wait a minute.
People are cheating and we're in there. We're going to make sure they don't.
I'm looking
and
for
then
Alyssa
they
Griffin.
Kind of cheat.
I think we got a little mix-up going on here with our audio. I'm anxious to see how this happened and why does this always happen to me. Yes, Alyssa Griffin. We don't have Alyssa Griffin. We had 2 of the same cut. Jeez Louise. Okay, let's try Sunny Hostin and see whether we have that one in. Cut 4, Miss Sunny Hostin, the supposed lawyer of the bunch, on The View.
I hope that's true. I think it's tough when you do gerrymander. I think it's tough because you do dilute the black vote, and people are saying, I've read places where people are saying, well, this is not about race. If race is if black people are the backbone of the Democratic Party and you're gerrymandering on a partisan basis for the Republicans, of course it's about race. It's about diluting the black vote. That's 100% what it's about. And when it comes to, you say it's a race to the bottom. It is a race to the bottom, but the Republicans started that race. They started that race in Texas, and then they continued it and continued it and continued it, and we just saw it in Tennessee. And so what I do appreciate about Florida, and in Florida, what I do appreciate about the Democrats is they're finally realizing that the Republicans are not playing by the rules, that they're drafting their own rules, and it's time for the Democrats to play by those new rules. And that's what they have tried to do. So instead of going, as Sarah, you say, to sort of the top, because they don't have a lot of states where they are, especially in the South, where they rule sort of the legislature, they decided to take it to the people. I think that's the right way to try to fight this. So you go to California, you go to Virginia, and now the Republicans did something that I don't think the Democrats expected. The Republicans decided to overturn the rule of the people.
No, they didn't. The damn Republicans didn't do anything. That is highly inaccurate. What happened was the Democrats disobeyed knowingly, after advice was given to them, the procedure to do what they wanted to do, and instead decided to go with an unconstitutional procedure. The Supreme Court of Virginia said you can't do this. This was unconstitutional the way you did it. Period. It is a matter of law. It is not a matter of your opinion, my opinion. It's a matter of the justice's opinion looking at the Constitution of Virginia, which it sounds like Sunny Hostin hasn't read as a lawyer before she goes off on this half-cracked analysis that this is all just a political play, not a constitutional play. And as for diluting the black vote, we're going to talk about that. Because I'm so tired of hearing about this black monolithic vote like it's the property of Democrat and like black people are the property of the Democrat Party, and that's it. Done with it.
Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit dyingdollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's dyingdollar.com.